Hello guys, welcome to a new series I'm starting on this channel. I'm very sorry to anyone who may have subscribed to me for slowed and reverbed music videos. Going in a different direction here. I'm going to be talking about the Carolina basketball team this year and kind of putting out some videos after each game, reviewing kind of 5 big takeaways that I learned from each game. So I hope you guys enjoy. This video is going to just kind of be a season preview. And I actually have a little spiel written. The style of videos, like I said, will be kind of 5 main takeaways that I kind of picked up on, things we could take away from each game, things we learned from each game. And I'll have kind of like a traffic light system, green, yellow, red for maybe certain players or certain things that worked well and certain things that didn't. I do want to credit George Benson, Chelsea FC YouTuber, who kind of does the same thing, as well as a lot of people. There's a guy, Rob Perez on Twitter, that does this for the Knicks. I see a lot of Carolina basketball fans on Twitter and Instagram, but YouTube I haven't seen. So if there are people that are doing this thing, I don't want to step on their toes or anything, but I just thought this could kind of be a cool angle to do a video recap of the games. And I will try my best to put a video out for each game. We'll see how that goes. There's a lot of games this year. But with that being said, yeah, let's talk about how I think this year's going to go. I think it'll be a fun year, but I don't think it'll be like last year. I mean, last year was just so magical. Everything about it, especially the end, the Duke games, obviously, I mean, you really couldn't have asked for a better year last year, at least the last 10 or so games, unless you wanted, of course, a championship trophy in the ACC or the NCAA tournament. But the 2 Duke games, I mean, I have said to many people, if we lose to Duke in basketball for the next 10 games, provided it's not like to actually win a national title, I would be okay with that. You cannot take away Coach K's last game in Cameron, where they brought so many former players just to watch the team lose. And you can't take away a Final Four game, the first time we play them in the NCAA tournament. It's still just a crazy, crazy thing. I still can't believe it. Just last year was just great. On a personal note, I was between going to North Carolina and going to the school I eventually went to, Tulane. And one of my big things about not going to Carolina was, well, what if I miss out on one of these magical basketball seasons where they rush Franklin and they have all these big wins? I don't know. It meant a lot to me that the championship was in New Orleans. I had the poster of the Jordan shot from '82 on my wall in college. That was in the Superdome in New Orleans, Dean Smith's first national championship. So for them to come down and go be in New Orleans, where I had been for the last 4 years, and to beat Duke there, and then I actually got to go to the game against Kansas. I don't know if I'll be going to a national championship game again, since I'm 0 for 1 all time, but it was still super, super cool to see the team and be in the city where they beat Duke in the Final Four, if I haven't mentioned that already. But as for this year, the expectations are completely different. Even if we start slow, we're the #1 preseason team in the country. We brought back 4 of our 5 starters, and with those expectations comes a different vibe for the season, right? Like, if we get out to a slow start, it's going to be like, oh, what's wrong? Well, what are we doing wrong? This guy needs more minutes. This guy needs less minutes. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? Why can't we stop this? As opposed to last year, where it was like, we had some struggles early, and Coach Davis's first year, and it was, well, I don't know what's going to happen. And then, of course, we beat Duke twice and went to the, championship game. So things worked out. But I don't know. With these expectations, I'm a little worried that this year is going to feel a little bit different. But at the same time, we are ranked #1 for a reason. We're bringing back 4 starters, 4 players that played big minutes all throughout the NCAA tournament and in the championship game as well. I think my biggest key for this year, I've written this down, is our experience. I'm very interested to see, walking into Virginia Tech for that first ACC game, what does having 4 returning starters do for us? Remember, Coach Williams used to talk all the time about that intensity, and just, you come out flat, everyone's going to give us their best shot. So I'm very interested to see if that experience, at the first media timeout, if we're down 13-2 and they've got someone who's made 3 threes already, can our leaders, our returning players, say, hey, listen, we've played in much bigger games than this. We know what it takes to win. Let's do something about this. Let's make an adjustment. Let's up our intensity. Let's correct these mistakes, and let's get out of here with a win. I think that whether or not we can do that, and whether or not we can do that consistently, will be a huge factor for our success this season. So that's my biggest key. is our experience. I also want to touch a little bit on, just because players were great last year, we can love them for that, and we can always appreciate that, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll automatically be good this year. As Coach Williams used to always say, everything looks better when the ball goes in the basket, right? So, yes, last year was great and magical, and everything kind of went well until the very last game where injuries and just a good Kansas team, prevented us from winning it all. But we still need Leaky to step up and make great defensive plays. We still need Caleb and RJ to just have those offensive outbursts that propel us when we need them. We still need Armando to be a double-double machine, right? Like, we still need these guys to do what they did last year and not coast on the successes of last year. So with that being said, let's jump into some of my preseason predictions. I do have Carolina as a 24-6 regular season team, 24 wins, 6 losses, with our 6 losses being to Villanova in the second round of the Phil Knight Invitational in Oregon. I just never like picking Carolina to win against Villanova. I have us losing at Indiana. Hope I'm wrong, but if you have been a Carolina fan, even for like the past 4 years, away games that start at 9:15 usually don't go well, especially in Indiana. I have a bad feeling about that. I have Virginia Tech away, which I believe is the first ACC game. That'll be a loss for us, or at least I'm predicting. Hopefully I'm wrong. The first Duke game in Cameron, I do not think we win that game. I think they will be mad, and eventually we have to stop beating Duke, right? Or maybe not. Who knows? I have Miami at home being a loss. Just feels right. I don't know if we'll go undefeated at home. And then I have NC State away as being a loss, just because these games just happen, and you don't want it to happen, but they do happen. And I don't know. So those are my 6 losses projected. In terms of projected awards, I have our player of the season being Armando Bacot. Most improved, I have Dontrez Styles. Puff Johnson, good option, but I don't know. I'm just interested to see Coach Davis. I know he's talked a little bit about using guys more, giving guys more minutes further down the bench, and I'm really excited to see what Styles can do. So hey, we'll see. Maybe I'll look dumb in March and April, and maybe I'll look like a genius. I have our most important player, a toss-up between Pete Nance and Leaky Black. Pete Nance, again, I think everyone is assuming his role will be the Brady Manick role of the big guy who can stretch the floor, maybe even be a bit of a better defender than Brady was. And Brady was huge for us last year in more ways than one. So I think if he can even just be Brady or put out the same performances that Brady would put out, then we basically have the same exact team, just a year older. And of course, Leaky, 5th-year senior, the defense, the leadership, and also the offense. If Leaky, some of those games last year where Leaky has like 2 corner threes or like a timely layup, he doesn't have to score 30 a game, but even 10 or 12 points from Leaky Black just keeps the defense so much more honest and opens up a lot more for our other offensive players. So I think both defensively and offensively, we go as Leaky goes. So that's a toss-up from them for most important player for the team this year. For awards, I have Armando being first team All-ACC, along with Caleb Love. RJ Davis being second team All-ACC. I have Jalen Washington actually being third team All-ACC this year. I think he's going to be great. I have super high hopes for him. I think he's going to learn from Armando and, just the coaching of bigs that Carolina is known for. I think we're going to throw him in whenever Armando's tired or foul trouble, and he's just gonna dominate. I have really high hopes for him. And then I have Leaky being first team all defensive, all ACC defensive. First team defense. Well, Leaky's going to be a good defender. And then I have Armando being the ACC player of the year. I'm a little skeptical about having such a great junior year, coming back for your senior year. Can you not only replicate that, but maybe even improve on it a little bit? Like when Marcus Page kind of came back junior, senior year, if he wasn't scoring 30 a night, it was like, oh, what's wrong with Marcus? And it's like, well, he just had a really good year last year, and it's not to take anything away from his talent or skill. It's just maybe defenses are game planning for him better, or a whole number of things. So I'm a little nervous that Armando could still have a really good season and it would feel underwhelming. But in my heart of hearts, he's just such a dog. I think he's got it in the bag. Very optimistic for Armando. And then our projected tournament success. gave us some losses in the regular season, which, might be a little cautious, pessimistic. I do have us winning the ACC tournament. I loved what I saw last year in actually both tournaments, the ACC and the NCAA. I think we understand, win and survive in advance kind of mentality. I understand the ACC is every single day as opposed to getting some time off in the March Madness tournament. But I have us winning. I think we'll be a high seed. Not necessarily winning the ACC, but definitely a double bye. So should just be a couple wins to get into a championship game, and I think we can do it. I think we'll be one of the best teams in the ACC. And again, even if we have some losses that prevent us from winning the whole thing in the regular season, I have us as ACC tournament champions for the 22-23 season. Then we'll be a 1 seed in March Madness, as I predict. And I'm too superstitious to go much further in the NCAA tournament than I think we will make it to the second weekend and be a Sweet 16 team. March Madness is crazy, of course. Everyone knows lots can happen. Upsets happen. Good teams lose just because it's a crazy, crazy tournament. But I do think we'll take care of business in the first round and could be another wild Baylor-Arkansas-esque second round matchup. But I think we'll win that as well. And then, who knows? Maybe the team remembers what it felt like last year, stacking wins in the NCAA tournament, and they'll power through. And of course, fingers crossed, win another NCAA championship. But we'll see. I'm not going to predict anything. So just kind of to wrap this up, I'm super excited for this year. I've already been hearing, this team is championship or bust. Anything less than a championship would be a disappointment for this team. And I do think they should be competing for a national title, barring any serious injuries, which of course is something we have to take into consideration. I think it is one of the most talented teams we've had on paper in a long time. I think Coach Davis is, hopefully able to learn from the lows and highs of last year, of which there were several of both, and really grow from those experiences and take this team to new heights. And I think all we can really ask for is to see a great basketball team on paper reach their full potential, new players, young players, old players alike, and make this season really special. So I'm super excited for the months to come. I'll try and put out a video after every game. I know we have some late games, so they might be a day or two later, but I'm super excited to try this out and just see how it goes and maybe grow a little community here. If not, I like to talk about Carolina basketball. I'll do it by myself, staring at my phone. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Go Heels.